So the message this morning is to take small steps towards making changes. You see, we might listen to content over and over and over, and very gradually, most of us will drift toward the content that we're listening to, and it will slowly build us up. It will slowly help us make better relationship choices, better marriage choices, better financial choices, better choices in leading children and just in all areas of life. But I have seen people that have listened to incredible content that had the ability to completely change their life, but nothing changed for them. They never made any necessary change to adjust their life. And so my challenge here is, what are we doing to make the necessary changes? Am I making changes? And what is my method of making changes? So if I'm making changes, what are they? And what are my methods? This would be my encouragement for you. A method that I believe that works is, what is one thing this week that I'm going to improve on? Just one little thing. Maybe it's recognizing the negativity that is around me. Maybe it is getting up at a certain time in the morning, going to work. Maybe it is finding something good in the people that seem to get under my skin the most. Something that I get to work on this week that I will make a positive change on. See, don't allow this day to go by and just have another day behind you and be another day older. Please don't. This day is precious, it's valuable, and it's an opportunity to become a little bit closer to what you want it to be. You don't have to try to change 50 things today. Change one thing, a minute amount. And if you do that again tomorrow, and then again the next day, and then again the next day. It's like if we send a ship out of the California, LA harbor across the pond, so to speak, across the ocean, and we have it directed in a certain direction to get to a certain harbor on the other side. And the pilot says, I'm going to change direction 1%. After 2 days of cruising, you would not notice any difference at all. A week of cruising, you might notice that it seems to be on one side of the line that the GPS has so very little that it's not problematic. You wouldn't barely even notice it or pay any attention to it. Now, after 2 weeks, it seems to be off the side significantly, but not a big deal. It can be brought in. After it's been traveling for 500 miles, it is off track quite noticeably. Once it's been traveling halfway across the ocean, it is way off track. And once it hits the other side, it is so far from where it was supposed to go, it doesn't seem like it could have been 1% off when it started, but it was. You see, if you make a 1% difference today, if I make a 1% change today, just a 0.01%, and I do that again tomorrow and again the next day and again the next day and again the next day, ultimately, there will be a huge positive change in my life. And then somebody looks at you and says, oh my gosh, Lydia, you have changed so much. How did you do that? Let me do that too. Whatever water you're drinking, let me drink that too so I can make that change. It's when Coach turns around and says, listen, I didn't get here in the last 2 weeks. This took years. You are 8 years behind me. And I can only imagine that person's eyes getting real big as JD says, for the first 5 years, it didn't seem like I was getting anywhere. Now all of a sudden, here I am. Guys, the point of saying that is, change doesn't happen overnight. And once I can see the change in you, I realize that you've already been shifting for more than a year. Your characteristic nature, the things that don't serve you and the things that do. All of a sudden, your finances are way up, and people think you did it overnight, but you didn't. It came over a period of time of making good choices. Didn't happen quick. You see, we get to move away from the fast food mentality, from the instant gratification mentality, and realize that small changes over a period of time leads to a beautiful joyful, prosperous life. Have patience with yourself while you're making those small changes. Even when it feels like you've fallen back and are in worse shape than you were when you started. That will happen, promise you. It will. If it hasn't yet, it will. It's okay. Pick yourself up and do that. Take that next step again. Go again. You actually did not. It was just a momentary setback, and because your mind is so convinced that you're moving forward and you're moving out, and then that happens, it feels worse than what it actually is. Guys, with that being said, I consider this a privilege that I get to spend a few minutes with you all this morning and just ask you to have an amazing day. And do me a favor. Don't ever settle for less than who you are. May God bless you.